going to start the next project for the camper, and I'm making an improvement on a spare tire holder. So this is the original spare tire holder that come equipped with the camper, and most of the campers like mine have this same style of mount that comes with it. And I'm just so pleased with the fabrication quality that they have done on this. Whoever built this, you know, they've got somebody there at the factory or a contractor or somebody building these things by the hundreds at a time and shipping them out. You can see they've got wires still stuck on there so that you can cut your finger wide open in case you want to grab onto that. I mean, it just looks bad, but you know, for most people, they don't really care. This is going to work. It's going to hold the spare tire. But in my case, I had to remove this because I added the cargo carrier and now the bike rack on there. But with the cargo carrier on the back of my camper there, the spare tire, using this with the spare tire, this would not fit. So I'm actually having to move the location of the tire in a little bit further towards the bumper, so it'll sit between the wall of the camper and the cargo, the totes that I have back there. And I'll go out there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So anyway, that's what we're going to replicate right there. It's going to look a little bit different. So I've got some 1/4x6 steel plate right here that I got. Bought this piece from McMaster because I didn't have what I needed around here. And I'm going to be using this 2-inch square tubing. These are some scrap pieces that I had cut off the welding table or the work table here when I modified it. So this is 3/16 wall, so it'll be nice and heavy. I got 2 pieces there that I can use. What I'm going to be doing is we're going to have this up right here, and then I'm just going to have it welded to where it comes off this way with a piece of tube. And then I've got this. This is another drop out of something that I had salvaged a while back. And this is the plate that we're going to use that will be mounted up to the back of the spare tire. I've got these 1/2-20 bolts right here that I'll just have drilled, and we'll just stick it through there and just weld the head of the bolt to keep them held in place. And we'll just use 3 bolts drilled on the proper center line on the bolt circle, so that'll mount up. All right, and then we've also got some, I bought these are 3/8 stainless steel bolts and washers and nuts that will be used to hold everything together. So I'll show you what it's going to look like on the back of the camper, and then we'll get started on the build. All right, so this is where the mount originally was located right there, but I've got my new hitch on there. I've got a new bicycle rack on there. So it normally it had another plate that's put away, but it just kind of sits on the side of the bumper like that, and then bolts on there in that kind of manner. What we're going to be doing is moving it back some, so my new mount is going to be sitting on the top, centered on this bumper, and it'll be somewhere in this general location right there. Really what I'm doing is just kind of splitting the difference of the spare tire to be between the bike rack and this is for my spray nozzle right here, just water. So I'll just I don't want it blocking that or the light, so we're just going to have it right about in there. Alrighty? We'll cut 2 of these plates, 6-inch by 6-inch square. That's a 1/4x6 flat bar. I drilled them on 4 3/8 centers because I wanted it to be close to the tube and not have a bunch of slop everywhere. I purposely did that so it's close to the tube there. So I'm just doing a just making sure that it's going to bolt in. I'll get the back tube. Close fit. There we go. It fits up. Alright, so we're getting our first tube cut. That one's going to be 18 inches long. I'll show you what we're working with right here. So we're going to make it this length here, which would be 18 inches, but it'll be sitting on top of the bumper. And then the offset piece, we're going to cut another piece that's going to weld here. And this will be 7 inches right there total. Here's the plate that's going to bolt up, or the tire is going to bolt up to this plate right here. So just going to find the center, punch it, and then we'll go to the mill, use the center to locate the center of this, and then we're just going to set our bolt pattern in our DRO to cut our pattern that we want. This is just a more of like a flame cut diameter here, so it's not going to be perfectly in the center, but you can go a couple more times there and kind of get a good idea of where it should be. So we'll just put it right in the middle of that little triangle there. So we're going to be drilling a 5 on 4.5 bolt circle right here, and I wanted to show this. This might help somebody out down the road. If you want to measure a 5 lug pattern, if you're not sure what the actual bolt circle is, which is you're going to be the center line of the holes there, on a 5 hole pattern, what you can do is just use a scale or whatever, something like this. And if you'll take, you got to have one hole and then skip one hole and then go to the third hole. So we're going to call this one our first hole, skip that one and measure here. So if you'll measure to the left side of this first hole to the center of the third hole, that is going to give you a very close measurement of what that actual bolt circle is. So in our case, you can see there 4.5 inches. And I've already verified that by actually measuring this center diameter right here, measuring this web thickness right there times 2, and then the diameter of the hole, and that put me on 4.5 inch. But this is just an easy little trick that you can do with a rule or a scale. Left side of the first hole, center of the third hole, that'll give you your bolt circle diameter right there. Got the plate clamped down with 2 clamps there, centered up, so now we're ready to set our bolt circle. We're not using all 5 of the holes, so we're just going to use 3. So we're gonna drill hole 1, skip 2, and then we'll go to 3, 4, and then skip 5. So it'll be sort of a triangular pattern there. I'm just using these bolts right here, and well, it's pretty tight, but anyway, we're going to use that, and I'm just going to weld the back of that. I didn't feel like going and searching for wheel studs, and the only problem I had with the wheel studs is that usually the axle flanges are thicker than this plate right there. So I think this is going to work just fine just to hold a spare tire. This isn't being used on a road. Alright, we got the plate drilled there and deburred. We'll do a little test fit, make sure it's going to fit up. There it is. Alright, I got the bolts ready to weld, and what I've done, I've just spaced them off on the back side with some nuts and washers. The only nuts that I had half 20 were lock nuts there, nylocks, so I just had to space them out. So now they're pulled up nice and square, and I'm just going to use the MIG welder for this stuff and probably the rest of it there. I hate the spatter, but I'll clean it up with the grinder here in a bit. I've got the machine set about efficiently as I can. We got the flange squared up to the upright right here, and I'm using the mini monster square, and then we're using the shop blocks here. So we got 2-inch and 1/2-inch blocks stacked in there, and that's got everything nice and square. We've got the flange bolted to the monster square, and then we've got this spaced off, and then I've actually got my little machinist square here, and I have checked it and make sure that we're square side to side there as well. So it's in the center. Within a 1/16 it's in the center, and it's square up and down, perpendicular. So we're going to go ahead and get it welded on there. Okay, we're on to the last phase of the welding and fabricating. I've got her clamped up against the the mini monster square here, and see we're utilizing our tabs so that it pulls it up square to the edge of the clamp there. And I've got 3 clamps on the bottom, and my attempts here is to, as I weld this up, I'm going to put 1 good bead around it. I'm hoping that my clamps will help keep the plate from drawing so much, you know, pulling up. So I'll probably do some welding on these sides and then flip it and put a clamp on the back side and try to help hold it down there too. Well, here we are. We got the welding finished up. Got her cleaned up. Looking pretty good. It's all wire brushed and ready for some paint now. But first, what we'll do is go out and go ahead and test fit everything on the camper and making sure it's all a go. Real happy the way it's turning out. All the welds have worked out really well for me. I think we have a good strong mount. Much better than this this thing right here that they sell you. There it is, mounted up on the back of the camper. Exactly how I envisioned it right there. We got her in between the bike rack and the spigot right here for the water. I think we are ready to go. It's nice and rigid too, man. My idea was to have it pulling the stock bumper, you know, and my hits that I built, just have it all pulled together, you know, give this thin bumper some rigidity by mounting it up to the receiver that I've fabricated right there. So we're going to go ahead and make sure the tire fits on there still, and then we'll give you one final look. By the way, over here on my bike rack, I went ahead and bought some stainless thin nylocks just to kind of, I don't think the set screws needed a lock nut on there, but this actually makes it look a little bit nicer anyway, I think. All right, there we go. We've got the lug nuts tightened up. I've got to go buy me another lug nut there. We can get that from the auto parts store. And I couldn't find a half 20 nut except for the nylock, so I'm just going to pick up another one of these lug nuts right here. Half 13, 13/16 hex on it. So that's looking good. That's exactly what I wanted. So it'll live right there all the time until the unfortunate time that we have to take it off there and change a flat tire. Hopefully that won't ever come, but you never know. So I'm just going to take it all back apart now and just get it spray painted. I've got some more black paint, so it'll just match that right there, and then I'll get it mounted up there probably tomorrow, and that's where it's going to stay. Whenever I was setting up this spare tire holder on the back and using the lug wrench, I came up with the idea that I thought it would be nice to actually carry this lug wrench with the spare tire all the time and get it out of the cargo area up front, you know, just kind of one more thing out of the cargo area and have this on the back. So what I've done, I found a piece of tubing that the lug wrench fits down in, and I've milled a slot there for it to fit in kind of snug, and I drilled a hole where we can put a cotter pin right there to kind of lock it in. So I'm going to weld this tube to the 2-inch square tube, and my lug wrench will be able to live on the back with a spare tire all the time. All right, we've got the spare tire mount completed, painted, ready to go. See, we've got the 4-way lug wrench that fits right on the back right there, and it actually, when you push it down in there, it kind of snugs up. So one of the things about this is I was going to look for a smaller linch pin. I just got to go search for it. This one's too long to fit in there, but what I can do is take like a just a 1/4 inch bolt and use one of these standard little cotter pins like that. I'm going to go in there and drill a hole in one of these. This is stainless, so I'll probably use that, and then I'll be able to stick a bolt in there, stick a cotter key in there, and the cotter key and the bolt will keep this from trying to, I don't think it's ever going to come out, especially since it's stuck, but that thing's got to bounce a long way up to come up out of there. But anyway, that's going to be our lock pin for that. I'm going to go ahead and get the tire mounted up here. Got little lug nuts. I still only have the 2 lug nuts. Got to pick up another one from the auto parts store. And look at this. We've got our lug wrench right there, right on the back. Let me make sure I'm using the right one here. It's going to be snugged up. There we go. Now we can put our lug wrench right back in there behind it, and that's where it'll stay.
That's awesome.
Working out pretty good. Now I do have a we have a tire cover for this. It's in the garage, so I'm going to get that out and cover it up. So anyway, that project is done. That worked out great.